I need him to be real. I need him to be real so that we can be together. Christian. Hello, my name's Lachlan and this is my booktube. If you're new here and you like bookish videos, you should totally consider subscribing because why not? Today's video is going to be a book review for The Maddest Obsession by Danielle. This is a dark mafia romance. If you're not into that genre, then this book is probably not for you. But if you've never read this subgenre, this series is such a good place to start and I'm so excited to talk about this book. It is the second book in the series. This review will be spoiler free in the beginning and then at the end I'll talk about my favorite moments. So I'll give a warning before that starts. This book does have an arranged marriage trope to it, and it follows Gianna, who is an unconventional girly girl in the mafia world. She wears dresses that are too tight and too short and heels that are too tall. She's her own individual person, and I loved her character a lot, but she also has like this underlying, I guess you could say like PTSD, and she is like really scared of the dark for reasons that you find out. And so we also follow Christian, who she ends up meeting at some point. I think it's like before she gets married to her first husband. She first gets married to the mob boss of all mob bosses. Whenever Christian kind of meets her or sees her for the first time, he kind of has a thing for her. But there is absolutely no insta-love in this. This is definitely like a slow burn. And Christian, oh my god. What can I say about Christian to accurately portray this man? He is like a super low-key kind of dude. He has OCD tendencies. He's like on the low scale of OCD, like legitimately. He sees like this therapist, but I don't think it's for that. It's actually, okay, so I should mention he is a cop, a fed or whatever. I don't know. I guess he's in the FBI. I don't know. No, he can't be in the FBI because he has tattoos. He's in the fed. He's in the he's like an agent or something like that. Which I know that like in real life, they can't be in the FBI if they have tattoos. So anyway, he has lots of tattoos, but he's in the Fed somehow. He likes order to his life and he likes things to be very neat and clean and yeah, but his personality is like very, very low key, but oh my god. This man. So on the back of the book it says he's a special agent upholding the law. Sure. So he's like this major hustler, this major like badass killer. And what's interesting about Christian is, well, for one, he's Russian. He grew up in Russia, but he was also imprisoned in Russia whenever he was 14. So he grew up like from age 14. I think he got out when he was 19. He grew up in a Russian prison. So that kind of shaped the way that he is, and I wouldn't change a thing about this man because he's utter perfection. So anyway, whenever Christian and Gianna meet, they instantly hate each other. It's like insta hate, okay? They're constantly like insulting each other. It's just the most entertaining thing ever because they're such opposites. I think that's what makes it so entertaining. Like he's absolutely nothing like her and she's just very like her own person and she doesn't apologize for who she is. She is who she is and she doesn't give a shit. And then there's him who's like this like put together, very straight lined, clean, crisp, cold man. And the combination is lethal. But it's like, oh my god, it's so amazing. This book is basically just them like kind of going after each other but not going after each other because they hate each other, and neither one of them wants to admit that they have a thing for the other person. So the first book in the series is Sweetest Oblivion, and this one ended up being 4.5 stars for me, but this, oh my god, 5 stars. You kind of do need to read Sweetest Oblivion first because in the second half of this book it follows the timeline of this book, but it doesn't explain it. It goes through the timeline with the assumption that the reader is aware of everything that occurred in this book, and that's kind of why you need to read this. You can, if you don't want to read this book, you can read this. You're just going to be confused in the second half of the book. Like some stuff is talked about and you're not going to know what it's talking about because it doesn't re-explain everything, if that makes sense. So yeah, I definitely recommend you reading the first one and then this one. There's also a third one. I don't even remember what it's called, but I don't have it yet. So I definitely intend on reading the third one because this was just like amazing. So freaking good. Their relationship was just everything to me, and it's such a slow burn. I definitely gave this 5 out of 5 stars. It is god tier Mafia romance, in my opinion. It's just god tier romance in general. If you've never read Mafia romance, you're probably thinking like, how can that be romantic? They're forced to marry these men. I know, it doesn't sound like it would be romantic, but these people are actually very romantic. It's amazing. I don't know what else to say. I definitely highly recommend this book. Now, I think I'm going to start talking about spoilers now. I just want to talk about my favorite moments. If you haven't read it, then definitely hop off. If you don't ever plan on reading it and you're just curious, you can keep watching. If you've read this, let's talk about it, because this book just had me so giddy. I'm going to talk about spoilers in 3, 2, 1. First off, Magdalena annoyed me, okay? I didn't really like her. I know she was supposed to be like quirky and funny, but I don't know. I found her character kind of obnoxious. So one of my favorite scenes was when she was having like kind of an anxiety attack, and he comes out, I think she's on like the balcony or something, and he comes out to her and he just starts talking to her about the stars. And he starts talking about Andromeda. I just thought that was like the most beautiful thing. And that was like early on in the book too. Afterwards, even after he leaves, she's like calmed down and everything. So I don't know, I really love that scene. I thought it was really cute. Oh, and the fact that like he got the tattoo afterwards. So I love this man so much. I love everything about him. One thing that did annoy me, so she has like the timeline, right, in the first part of the book, and on chapter 6, it says August 2015, so it's like right after her friend is killed, which that whole scene was kind of really confusing, and I had to read it like 5 times to understand, because I was like, wait, it could have just been me, or it could have been written confusing, I don't know. But yeah, so it says August 2015, and then the whole next like 3 pages is in the past. It's like right after that shooting. The shooting happened, and then this new chapter, and then it says August 2015, but we're not following 2015. We're actually back in 2014, and I found this so frustrating. I had to reread it like 3 times because I was like, wait, it says August 2015, why is it? So, I don't know, I just thought that was really annoying. It says on page 66, after taking a trip down memory lane. So that's when it was kind of like clear to me. And then I put a comment. I was like, that's annoying. It just confused me. And then, so obviously like that mob boss guy died. I don't even remember what his name was. It started with an A. Nico's dad. So he died, but it wasn't clear. Like it wasn't crystal clear to me. And then on page 67, it talks about like my ex-husband. And I'm like, wait. Did y'all get divorced, or is he dead? Maybe I'm just ignorant and I don't know like the terms that are used for that kind of thing. But like I'm thinking like, if my husband ever dies, is he referred to as my ex-husband? Because that's kind of sad. Anyway, that was just very confusing to me, and that was in the beginning of the book in the first 100 pages, so it really threw me off, and I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this book because I'm already getting like confused multiple times. But you guys, oh my god, it got so good. So she did do some stupid stuff, like whenever she let that one dude into her apartment, but then Christian came in and freaking just shot him dead. Oh my god, like, okay, I'm here for it. So another favorite scene of mine was like right after the shooting that takes place in Sweetest Oblivion. And she's like going to the drugstore. There's these guys holding up trying to steal money. And I'm like, she has the worst luck in the freaking world. But then she's just laying on the ground like trying out nail polishes. That's when I kind of started falling in love with her for real. Because before I was kind of like, man, I don't know how I feel about her. But then when she started painting her nails on the floor when these guys were like pointing guns everywhere, I was like, okay, I like her. The only time Christian gave me like a red flag was on page 124, and he's literally thinking about like killing her. He's like, I would have killed anyone else who provoked me like she had, but somehow the idea of her lifeless body made my stomach tighten in denial. I often wish she was a problem I could just make disappear, though oddly enough, her death had always been a hard no for me. I'm like, oh my god. He was just really funny, killing people just because they annoyed him. Literally, as soon as I said that, I fall on page 145 and I highlighted he was annoying me because he killed this guy because he was annoying him. So yeah, they would just like always speak to each other in Russian. I thought it was so cute. On page 157, she says, say something in Russian. And then he says this long ass sentence. She says, what did you say? He says, you're annoying. She's like, oh, I know that's not what he said. But the like banter between them was just everything. And then, oh my God, the forced proximity. Oh. When she moves into that like apartment and then she's bringing cake to her new neighbors, or not cake, but tiramisu. He opens the door and she's like, oh my God, no freaking way. So they're neighbors now. She offers him cake and she calls it cake. She's like, I'm trying to welcome you or whatever. And he's like, I'm not eating your cake. And she's like, it's not cake, damn it. He just like blank stares at her and he's like, you said it was cake. She's like, yeah, well, I say a lot of things. It's tiramisu. Like, he's just the driest, most like poker face kind of dude that there is. Oh God, it's just everything. And then so they're like going back and forth about like how they hate each other and how like they don't want to like be next to each other. And she says, I know this isn't the most ideal living arrangement. I'd prefer if you were back in your frigid homeland working to sit the next Stalin on the throne or whatever else it is you do. This shit she says is just so funny. I remember in the beginning of the book, all of the terms that she would mess up I thought were kind of stupid. But then it started to grow on me, and by the end of the book I was just like, she's fucking hilarious. She says, you sound like an impressionist, and he's like, I think you mean pessimist. And then there's one point where she says, close but no cigarette. He's like, cigar, you mean cigar? And oh, I love the scene of Gianna and Emily like trying to cook, because Emily obviously like can't cook anything and she like burnt the towel. I thought that was really funny. And I love that towards the end of the book, like, he revealed that he only agreed to work with Antonio because she was Antonio's wife. I thought that was just, oh my God. And can we talk about Alexandra, that girl, that like rich, pretty, beautiful girl that like Christian kept going out with? Bro, I don't murder people, but I was like, can we like let her go? She was annoying the shit out of me. I'm like, get off of Gianna's property. Okay, and the fact that like, sorry, I know I'm like jumping all over the place, but I'm just trying to talk about my favorite moments here, so let me live my life. But whenever he like washes her hair all the time, okay, on page 258, he's like getting mad because some guy had, you know, his hands in her hair, and he's like, how could I say every strand was mine any clearer than washing it every goddamn night? So one of my favorite quotes is on page 283. It says, as the next week passed, each day I fell in love with something else. With his smell, the way that it made my eyes half lidded and my toes curl in satisfaction. With his hands, the way that they made everything else go away. With his voice, the way it could be so rough and sweet at the same time. And at the bottom it says, I loved his possessive side and I loved his dark side too. It's just so sweet. And then whenever he's telling her like the story of how he lost his virginity, that shit was so sad. And like whenever he was in prison and the guy like tore up his book, he says, they usually left me alone, but one day someone worked up the nerve to rip all the pages out of my books. They were the only thing that kept me insane in that place, the only thing with a little bit of order. I saw red, beat him unconscious. I would have killed him if someone hadn't pulled him off me. And it was all for a fucking book. And then when he finally tells her why he kisses her, she says, why do you kiss me? And he says, because you're the only woman who's ever tempted me. Because you love it. Because every part of you is mine. Christian. He's such a hard, cold dude, but he also has this like super soft spot for her. And oh God, I love that. I need him to be real. I need him to be real so that we can be together. I'm always thinking about you, Malishka. And I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's like that nickname that he also always calls her. And he tells her, I really like you. Towards the end, whenever he like tells her we should get married, and then she kept turning him down. Oh my God. And she's like, why do you want to marry me? And he says, how about because I love you, Gianna? Because I have since the moment I saw you. Because if you weren't in this world anymore, I would find a way to take myself out of it. Marry him now. And then she still was being stubborn. I was like, girl, you need to stop. And then he like tells her about like the story with his mom, and that was so sad. Oh my God. And like how she threw up because she was pregnant. And oh my God, normally I don't really like the unexpected pregnancy tropes, but I love them so much that I was like, I'm not mad. I'm not mad about it. The only thing I didn't like is the fact that like he didn't want to use a condom and she kept telling him to use one. And it made me a little bit uncomfy. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I'm telling you, oh my god, this book is everything. It was a buddy read with my friend Jess. And she actually started it and finished it in one night. And which I did the same thing. But we were supposed to buddy read it. And then she messaged me the next day and she was like, I finished it. And I was like, ah. So I knew it had to be good. It was so good. If you haven't read it and you're watching this part, what are you doing? If you've made it this far, you can leave a, oh gosh, I don't even know, like a water gun emoji if that's allowed. Because it's like, you know, Mafia. If not, then leave a black heart or a blue heart emoji because he was, you know, a man in uniform and we love, or an icicle emoji because he was so cold. Okay. I'm getting a little bit crazy with the emojis. Thank you so much for watching and I hope you enjoyed this video, and this book was amazing and I loved it and loved talking about it. So if you've read it and you want to talk about it, let's talk. And let me know if you have any other God tier Mafia recommendations. Leave them down below. So yeah, I'll see you guys later with another video. Bye!